No Bullshit Social Media Marketing with Eric Deckers and Rory Ramsden. What is social media marketing anyway? Hi, I'm Rory Ramsden of ProLaunchManager.com, and my guest today is Eric Deckers of ProBlogService.com, author of Branding Yourself, How to Use Social Media to Invent or Reinvent Yourself, and Twitter Marketing for Dummies. But we're here to talk about his new book, his third book in fact, co-authored with Jason Falls, which is called No Bullshit Social Media, the all business and no hype guide to social media marketing. In the next 30 minutes, you're going to find out how your small business can engage with your customers using social media marketing and why doing so will ensure your long-term success. Good day, Eric. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, good. So the first question then, Eric, is the first quote I saw in your book, which really hit me between the eyes, was this: social media is for hippies and tree huggers. Social media marketing is for business. That's a pretty in-your-face kind of statement. How did that work out?
Well, I guess that sort of signals the whole attitude of the book. We wanted the whole book to be in your face and kind of adopt this tone of no bullshit. And so what we had been seeing for years, what both Jason and I have seen both professionally in our reading and our own growth, is everybody's talking about, oh, you need to be a part of the conversation and you need to engage with your customers, and it's all about the conversation. And then we hear terms like return on influence and return on integrity, and even, you know, people would say, well, it's all about the ROE, the return on engagement. We said that's all bullshit. I mean, it's important to converse with your customer, and it's important to engage with them, but this is a marketing channel. This is a communication channel. It's a business tool. And just like every other business tool, you need to make money with it. You need to be able to show that you can make money by using this marketing tool just like you do every other marketing tool any other business can use. And so we wanted to let people know that this is not the same old, this is all about the conversation and engagement bullshit. It's something new. It's a new way of thinking about social media, at least for business people.
Okay, so how would you describe social media marketing in 140 characters or less to the unconvinced?
Basically, social media marketing is a way to reach customers who care about you, and it's a way to target exactly the customers who care about you.
Okay, so in fact, you know, your customers are talking about you whether you know about it or not. So
exactly.
So if you don't engage in social media, they're going to be saying whatever they want, and you won't be able to jump into the conversation and perhaps engage them at that point, will you?
Oh no, that's absolutely right. That's a common excuse we hear from people as well. If we start using it, people will say bad things about us. But what most companies don't know is that they're already saying bad things about you. And my friend and co-author of Branding Yourself, Kyle Lacey, is a great example of this. He had a bad experience with his local bank in a city not too far from Indianapolis. And the short of the story was they would not stay open 1 minute past 5 so he could make a deposit. He was so angry, he went home and he wrote a blog post about how much he did not like this particular bank, and he named them. And since it's not a large chain of banks, it's not a large multinational bank or national bank, it's a small city local bank. Anytime you Googled the name of this bank, that post showed up on top. And it was there for months and months and months. So anybody who's moving to the city, anybody who's thinking about switching to that bank, all they have to do is Google it and they can see exactly what Kyle thought of that bank. The bank never reacted because they never knew it was there in the first place, but who knows how much business they lost by not even knowing that was on there.
Yeah, but in fact, if you've got a critic like Kyle, and you do respond to that, I mean, if somebody cares enough to complain, and you can respond in a positive, constructive way, you can turn that critic into your biggest fan, can't you?
Oh, exactly. And just like their complaint is public, if you can solve their problem just as publicly, they may become your fan just as publicly. They will say, hey, ABC Bank solved my problem. Everything I said about them before, I take it all back. I'm very happy with them. And if you ever have a chance to switch, you should switch to ABC Bank. And so the people who are very angry with a company can become just as passionate and happy with the company if everything is handled properly.
Absolutely. So that's why people should think pretty seriously about who should be put in charge or on a day-to-day basis of their social media. I mean, it's not something that you can just entrust to the youngest employee who is the last one through the door, is it?
No, no. A lot of companies think, well, social media must be for young people, so we're going to get our youngest employee on the job, and they're going to become our new social media person. But what they don't realize is that this is such a public-facing and permanent communication channel. This is not something you want to entrust totally to your 22-year-old employee. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with younger employees. We like younger employees, but you wouldn't give your new law school graduate the reins on a big corporate defense case, and you wouldn't turn over your new PR associate. You wouldn't let them handle your big crisis communication problem, and your new marketing intern isn't going to handle your big new spring product launch. You can't just give a new employee the reins to what is going to be the most public facing communication channel that you're going to have.
Okay, so in fact, if the MD, the CEO, I mean, and we're thinking about, I think, in Ford or Facebook or somebody answered your critique publicly, that's a much more impressive engagement than just having your intern type a few lines.
Exactly, and especially if it's somebody who has power and authority, it does carry a lot more weight than it is the intern.
Okay, so what can social media marketing do for a small business in a cost-effective way in just a few minutes a day?
One of the best things to do is to set up a listening post and use a tool like TweetDeck, which you can get at tweetdeck.com, and that will let you search for terms and have them pop up in a list or in a column about your industry. So if you sell wireless microphones and people are complaining about their wireless microphone because it doesn't work, or I get static on my wireless mic or anything like that, look for any kind of search term related to that particular niche and then respond to those. Answer questions, solve problems, point people to resources. You know, here are 10 steps to fix the static on your wireless mic. Then you become that authority on wireless microphones. And you're not selling anything. You're not telling people, I sell wireless microphones all day long, because that's a temptation for a lot of businesses, is to treat this like a TV or a radio ad. Instead, if you just focus on solving problems for people, they will become interested in what you do, and they will see that you've got a lot of knowledge about wireless microphones because you sell them. And so you're the person they turn to because you've been so helpful to them and you've provided them a lot of valuable information.
So it's the, as Michael Stelzner would say, the elevation principle. Give people value before actually coming out with a marketing message. Make sure that they appreciate the content that you've given them first.
Exactly. And it's just like personal networking. And we talk about this in Branding Yourself quite a bit, is if you and I were to sit down one-on-one over coffee, I can't just ask you for business, and I can't just ask you for referrals to your network. Instead, we have to establish that relationship, and we have to build trust, and get to know each other and get to trust each other. Well, it's the same thing with businesses and clients, or businesses and customers. Your customers have to trust you. You can't just jump into the relationship and immediately ask for their money. You have to build that trust and show them that you are someone who's reliable.
Okay, good. So cage the marketing messages, put them away, provide value up front. But you've got to have a strategy for this. You can't just blunder into social media marketing without some sort of strategy, surely.
Correct. And that usually starts with goals and what do you want to accomplish with social media. And it's just like any other goal setting and planning that you do for your business. It needs to be specific, it needs to be measurable, and then you have to have a way to measure that. And then there are different steps you can take to achieve those goals. So maybe you want to see a 20% sales increase through Twitter alone. And so that's your goal. And you want to see that by the end of the year. And then you figure out, what steps do I need to take to see that 20% growth? Who do I need to reach? How do I build that network? And what kind of information do they want? And then you develop that strategy, and then you see if you met the goal.
Exactly. So, I mean, Twitter and Facebook are geolocatable, so you can focus your social media marketing on a particular area. But which one to choose? Where to start? Twitter, Facebook, or even Google Plus? Which one do you go for first?
That all depends on what kind of business you've got. If you've got a business-to-business or a B2B type of organization where you sell to other businesses, they're not going to be on Facebook. Or at least if they are, they're on Facebook to talk to their high school and college friends. They're not there to do more business. So that's not a good place for the B2B folks to be. Twitter's a better option. LinkedIn is a great option. And even Google Plus is a good option. If you have a B2C product like a restaurant or a retail clothing store, Facebook is the better place to be. Not LinkedIn, because most people there are not thinking about buying an outfit for the weekend, or they're not thinking about where they're going to go eat. They're working. But you can reach those people through Facebook by building up a community about your brand and having a little more fun with that than you could on LinkedIn.
Okay, so what's the fastest way of actually building that community on Facebook or indeed on Twitter? Because that can take a long time.
It can, and there are a number of different ways, and a lot of it just depends on the brand and what you're trying to accomplish. But the general framework is going to have is going to be about like this, and then your personal strategy will be based on that framework. But generally, it's about finding the people who are most likely to buy from you, or who are most likely to be interested in your product. And so that may be based on geography, that may be based on occupation. And so you can use tools like Twello.com, Twellow, stands for Twitter Yellow Pages. And go to Twello.com, and you can start exploring Twello and finding people based on their occupation by what they've put in their Twitter bio. So if you are trying to reach marketing directors, you can do a search for marketing director and find everybody who put the words marketing director in their bio, and then you can start following them. And as you follow those people, they will get a notification somehow that you started following them. And they'll see your Twitter bio and your face, and maybe they'll check out your Twitter page and see what you've sent out in the past, and then they'll follow you back. And so as you follow these people and they follow you back, you're growing your network. And of course, you want to keep track of these people in a separate list so that you can follow along with their conversations and, again, respond to questions, provide information, provide value.
Okay.
With Facebook. Oh, I'm sorry.
So the point is that it's a very targeted strategy to actually focus on the people that you're most interested in, or the market that you're most interested in. I mean, because many people might just start, a Facebook page, and randomly you see on LinkedIn a lot of people saying, I'll follow you if you follow me. But really, that's no good to man or beast, is it really?
No, that's about as effective as TV advertising.
Yeah.
If you're trying to target an ad toward people, you're not going to get a lot of response if you just put it on the general television stations.
Okay, so from what you're saying, it may be best to focus on Twitter to start with, and go after a specific market using Twello, and then try and drag your followers over to a Facebook page or a LinkedIn page or even a Google Plus page. Does that sound right?
That's one way of doing it, but social media marketing is more like a circle than a linear process. You could start on Twitter, but you could also start on Facebook or LinkedIn. You could start on Google Plus. You could start with a blog, but since it is a circle, you've got certain positions you need to fill in. So if you start with Twitter, you should also look at LinkedIn or Facebook, and you should also look at a blog. And there's no one right order to start 1, 2, 3, 4. You just jump on the circle somewhere and then just make sure you complete it.
Okay, so I was going to ask you how a blog really fitted into this social media world. I mean, it's a way that you can give value and do so in more than 140 characters, or a quick comment or post on Facebook or LinkedIn, isn't it? So you can actually explain yourself and your point of view more fully.
Sure. And the blog really should be, or the website should be, the hub of that wheel. You drive people to it from Twitter, and they find out that you're on LinkedIn, and so they go to your LinkedIn property, or they find you on Facebook, and then they see that you've got a Flickr channel, and so they join you on Flickr as well. So ultimately, you're bringing somebody in from one direction and then sending them off in another direction where they can find other content and other information.
Okay, so you talk about measuring your success. There must be many ways of doing that. You're tempted to look at the bottom line all the time, but there's more to it than that, isn't there?
Mm-hmm. And looking at the account, talking to your accountant and seeing did I increase my sales is helpful, and looking at analytics and seeing did I increase traffic is helpful. But there also has to be an amount of goodwill that you're also storing up, and unfortunately that can't be measured. You can get an idea of it by using tools like Radian6 or Lithium, which those tools examine different places where you're mentioned throughout the social media circuit, but then also what is the sentiment of what people are saying. Are they saying positive things or negative things about you? If it's mostly positive, then you know you're doing a good job and people are generally happy with you. That may help you weather a storm later on where you've got a little crisis or even a big crisis. If you've got a lot of people saying great things about you, and then you try to solve that crisis in a positive way, they're mostly going to stay positive. But if you've got a negative reputation and then something happens, people are just going to pile on that, and they're going to hammer on you even more. So you start to see where having a positive or a negative reputation can have a positive or a negative influence on your money.
Okay, so to the uninitiated, if you like, so would you say that social media marketing was 21st century PR?
It's become 21st century PR. It's become 21st century customer service and 21st century marketing. And we're starting to see all of those areas blend. I mean, we're seeing marketing and PR become the same thing. And we're seeing customer service become an arm of marketing. Just yesterday, I had a friend who happened to tweet that he was on hold with his cable company trying to fix one of the packages that they sold him. And he said he'd been on hold for an hour. And I said, well, that's Comcast. Just send a tweet out to Comcast Cares. And before my friend Bob could actually do that, somebody from Comcast saw what I said and said, thanks, Eric. Bob, how can I help you? And then they solved Bob's problem. Well, they did it so publicly, even though it's a customer service issue. The fact that they did it that publicly, a lot of people got to see how they fixed Bob's problem. And you know, if they're in the market for a new cable service, they may think, well, I saw these guys fix a problem for another guy in minutes. So maybe we should look at that. Maybe we should consider getting that for our home. So now customer service just became a marketing tool because they built up some brand awareness for the cable company, and it wasn't anybody in marketing who did it.
So customer service actually is in fact a frontline service that you give to your customers, and you can do that on Twitter.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where that listening post comes in handy.
So social media is not all about, you know, saying what a great company you are and how wonderful your products are. It's quite the reverse, in fact. It's as you say, a listening post that you respond to and give value to your community. Exactly.
And in fact, social media, it is becoming the place where you do not want to talk about yourself. You want to talk about other people.
Okay. So what's the most effective way of building that community? We talked about Twello and targeting specific people, but I've been reading a lot recently about Facebook advertising, for instance, where you can target particular demographics and again keywords and individuals at a very small cost. Is this a quick way of building a community, a targeted community that you would go along with?
It can be, and there's again no one right answer to this, and so I remind people that you know, we call the World Wide Web a web for a reason. Everything is interconnected to everything else, just like a spider web. This strand connects over here, which connects to this one, and it goes on and on. And so you could use Facebook advertising to build a community by just advertising a new community. Go to Ning.com, create a community. Go to Facebook and put ads on Facebook to send people there. And from that community, you empower them to add stuff to your Flickr account. And so you're connecting all these pieces. But it ultimately comes down to the goals that you want to set and what do you want people to do? Do you want to drive them to a Facebook page where they communicate? Do you want to drive them to a Ning site? Do you want them to participate on your blog? So any one of these tools can be used to affect any of these other tools, which ultimately all go to the center of that web, which is your website.
Okay, so we've talked about reputation management. We've talked about customer service. We've talked about ensuring customer satisfaction, therefore. But there's another very useful aspect to social media that we need to explore just a little, I think, and that's the product development side, the, if you like, open source product development that social media can offer companies, small companies in particular. Mm-hmm. So how would you recommend that one actually engaged your community in that open source development? Would that be through contests, or how would you go about that?
Well, it really could be any number of ways. For example, let's say you make backpacks and you want to find out what are some features that people like. One of the first things you can do is just talk to your customer service department and see what people are complaining about. You know, this thing keeps breaking. You know, this strap keeps breaking. And so you know immediately just with that minimal amount of research, you need to do something new with the straps because they keep breaking. And so you can develop a new strap, and then you can turn around and ask some of your best customers, some of your best influencers, try this out and tell us what you think. And so they put that, they put your product to the test, and they're doing the research for you. Another example is, again, monitoring that Twitter stream or that Facebook stream and find out what do people wish they had. Or find out, let's say you're going to be launching a new hiking backpack, not a business backpack like I carry with my laptop in it, but for somebody who's out for that 2-day hike, and start paying attention to any Facebook groups where all the hikers gather, or any community groups like a Ning network where all the hikers gather, or maybe there are forum discussion groups where all the hikers come and they're talking about what are the new things that they want to see, or I wish my backpack had this. And by getting involved in those groups and paying attention to their conversation, you can see what people are looking for. And if you start to see a pattern like, I wish my backpack had a water bottle pouch on the side, you know that a lot of people are asking for that, so that's your next addition to your product.
But you can take that just a stage further. I mean, especially with Google Plus, you can actually form a group and have a live group conversation on Google Plus. That may come to Facebook later, but getting on the phone with somebody is surely the best in the end.
Oh, absolutely. And the cool thing about Google Plus is the Hangout, where you can get up to 10 people to do a video chat. And so we're on Skype right now doing a one-on-one chat. We could have just as easily done this on Google Plus just by using that same video capability. So you're that same backpack company and you invite 9 of your best customers to have a discussion with you and with each other, and they start talking to each other and brainstorming, and somebody says, hey, I'd like to see a way to carry a water bottle, and somebody else has a different variation on that, and pretty soon the 9 of them together come up with that new idea. So then you get 9 more people and you show them this is the new idea, and they say, yeah, this is great, or no, could you do this? Can you make it a mesh pocket, not a solid pocket, or can you make it an insulated pocket, what have you? And then after a while, you can do all of your R&D, just 9 people at a time, and come up with the best idea.
Okay, so what we've set out to do, about half an hour ago, was just explore social media marketing and what a small business could actually use it to do, be it locally or indeed nationally, to manage their reputation, or indeed develop products, customer service. There's a raft of things that social media can effectively do for a small company and build up that community and that engagement with their customers. But in closing now, Eric, what are the top 3 action items that you would recommend to a small company who was dabbling in social media? What are the 3 top things that they've got to get right now?
The first thing I would do is to find out if your customers are on it. And the best way to do that is, and there's just a couple steps you need, is 1, you take your entire customer database and upload that to a new Gmail account. Go to gmail.com, set up an account, upload your whole customer database, and then you can use a tool like gist.com, or a Gmail plugin called Rapportive, rapportive.com, and it will look at whether those email addresses are linked to other social media networks. Are they on Twitter? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they using Facebook? And it'll give you that information. If they're on there, then you know we've got to join one of these. And so you join one, join 2, join Twitter and LinkedIn, or join Twitter and Facebook, and start connecting with that list of emails on those 2 networks. And then the third thing you need is a blog, not just a website, but a blog. And that seems more difficult to people than it really has to be. For small businesses, you can use one of the free blog platforms like WordPress.com or Blogger.com and set up a free blog, or you can spend a little bit of money and have one attached to your website. And then you just have to generate new content about 1 to 2 to 3 times a week about problems people are having. Solve problems. So take your top 5 customer service questions and turn those into 5 blog posts. And then share that with the people on the networks that you've already connected to.
Okay, so that's a really good idea, the idea of using Rapportive.com to upload your existing customer email list and actually find out where they are. And that is, I think, a big takeaway, that there's no point in going on to Facebook or Twitter or any other of those big names if your customers are not there already. So
correct.
For me, that's a big takeaway. Thank you very much, Eric, for that. And
sure.
Thank you also. And may I just recommend to everybody to go to nobullshitsocialmedia.com, buy this book, /buy this book, and get that book, because Eric obviously knows his stuff, as does Jason, and I'd like to thank you very much for spending half an hour with us today, and I've certainly learnt a lot, and I much appreciate your time. Thank you, Eric.
Sure, thank you very much.